All right, welcome everybody to the latest in Virtue's Hash It Out discussion series, where we just uh, discuss sort of industry topics in a more casual format, just between two or three parties. Today, our session is called "Bridging the Confluence Security Gap with Virtue's Secure Shares." Talking about a newer uh, product that we are rolling out shortly. I am Trevor Foskett, VP Solutions Engineering here at Virtue, and I'm joined by my colleague Daniel Benyon. Daniel, you want to introduce yourself as a longtime listener, first-time caller here?
That's right. Yeah, great to be on. Been with Virtue now for about 3 years, and I've worked extensively with Secure Share from its inception about 2+ years ago. And now moving into integrations is pretty exciting. So look forward to hashing it out together.
Awesome. So today we are going to be talking about Secure Share for Confluence, which is, we'll get into what it is and how it works in a bit, but can you speak a little bit, what helped us choose Confluence as sort of an integration target? To date, we've done, more workflows around messaging. We integrated Secure Share into Zendesk, for example. A little bit different model here. Can you tell me a little bit about the background, how this kind of came about, how we put this on the roadmap?
Yeah, absolutely. Confluence is an interesting opportunity because it's a place where there's increasing collaboration, especially in a remote first workforce. The need to have things written down and documented in a place where people in different time zones on different schedules can go in and get updates and make sure that they're documenting processes and procedures. Where Secure Share comes into play is an opportunity to expose sensitive information in a location that may be overly visible. It may be something that, hey, the entire organization or an entire group has access to this space, but I've got some information that I'd like to associate with a certain channel or space, but I really want to limit the exposure to that. And so that's where Secure Share enables you to encrypt information and limit the access to that information. So be it a password or an API key or certain tester accounts that you may have if you're a software company, that prevents sort of wide viewing, but enables you to keep all that information in the same locale.
Interesting. Yeah. So we're, a little bit more again around storage rather than really transmission of information, but I think you can connect the dots with the rest of the things that we do, where we're talking about limiting access using encryption to do so, and really narrowing the aperture further than what is available in the platform itself. Confluence, if you have access to the page, you have access to read the whole thing, which means that if I have sensitive information, historically, I would need to go put it somewhere else. And it's been pretty powerful for me already, getting access to a pre-release version of it. I was documenting a lot of the processes that we have for my own team, things that we do to manage the sales team's demo environments and different servers that we have set up somewhere. And as I'm going through documenting these, I'm thinking, okay, if someone needs to go in and fix this server because I screwed it up, probably, how are they going to do that? Because I have the SSH key for it stored locally on my device. Well, now I can actually put it right in there, in that sort of SOP of here's how you go in and fix this thing, and here's what it needs. And oh, by the way, when you connect to it, here's your credential right here. I don't have to worry about sending somewhere and someone elsewhere. And I think that's sort of a common thread with our philosophy as a product organization, of sort of integrating into existing workflows, going all the way back to the original Gmail integration of, don't leave Gmail to create sensitive data, because otherwise you're probably just not going to do it. Same with Zendesk, and now with Confluence. I mentioned one use case. Have you guys used anything yourselves? Are you thinking more about developer use cases, or has the product team come up with any ways that you guys are actually using this live for your own workflows right now?
Yeah. Well, one of the things I'll mention is the use case for mail, like you talked about, is very much kind of once you send an email, it's over, right? You've sent it, and we give the ability to revoke that message even after it's been sent, that control. And similarly, in Confluence, you're living in a world of living, breathing documents. You may have a sensitive SSH key, like you said, but then that key may change. You may roll a new key or a new password. Things change. And And we wanted to mirror that with our integration into Confluence. And so when you create this encrypted content, you're able to change who has access to it. You could add users to it. You could remove users as things change. And you can also update the content, which is not the way things work on that email side and even the file side. So you can add more users. And you asked about use cases. One common one for us is on the testing side of our software. We have a lot of different tester accounts, and that includes a username and a password and access to a domain. And so that's a place where we will encrypt that information. And so you have the list of what you need to be doing as a tester, but then you've encrypted that blob of information. And it's been around, been tested long enough that we've had to go and update those passwords, because occasionally we do update the passwords. Right. And it's very easy to go back in and update that, republish it, just like you would on any other page in Confluence.
Yeah, that's actually really interesting, and one that I hadn't thought of, but it's sort of net new for us. Usually, as you said, when we are encrypting data historically, we're kind of turning it into this now immutable version of it, which makes sense for email. You don't want to be able to send an email and then go in and change it later and say, no, I actually said this.
Right.
I think a lot of our Vault admins or our compliance folks would probably not love to see that, but for something like Confluence, it makes total sense that you would want to update these things. The procedure has changed. You've rotated keys. You have a new username and password because you have 12 QA people all sharing one Google account, and they make you change it every 2 weeks. Yeah, really interesting. Did we have to make any modifications to the underlying architecture to support that, or is it just swapping the payload?
No, it's just, exactly. It's that. It's just swapping the payload and then re-encrypting it. Will modify that for you. So really feels seamless on the front end experience.
Yeah, no, I've seen it. It looks like it's just a part of Confluence. I mean, without knowing obviously that it's a third-party integration, it looks like it's really baked into the experience. That editing model is interesting. It's almost a little bit closer to kind of the Google CSE model of kind of open, make changes,
right,
re-encrypt, save again. Obviously, Google's doing all that in their own platform. We are, of course, shameless plug, happy to support Google CSE as a key provider, of course.
Yes, we are.
But interesting model, this sort of data in use and sort of changing data is interesting to see how that kind of evolves.
Yeah, that part you said about editing, just to add on to that, is, some of the early feedback from early adopters has been, hey, what if I want to edit it like I do a Confluence page? I want to have headers, and I want to actually recreate almost an entire page in an encrypted payload. We can support that now as well. And a lot of those editing capabilities look very similar thanks to Confluence and their APIs, so that when you're editing, you can kind of recreate that look and feel that you're used to in Confluence, but now it's encrypted and protected with policy.
Very cool. I'm thinking probably, we've mentioned a lot of these developer use cases, API keys, passwords, things like that. But I'm imagining, and this is, I'm learning. Obviously, we've sold a lot of tools for collaboration and data sharing. This is sort of a new one for us, the new use case in general. So I'm still figuring out where exactly the fits are. But I imagine there's also a case for, we have things that we want to store in Confluence that not only do we not want certain members of our organization to see, but probably we don't want Confluence to see either. I imagine, was that a consideration, thinking about more compliance based, or was the developer journey sort of the impetus here, and then we get that as a bonus?
No, absolutely. And Confluence has some interesting new AI or artificial intelligence features where they can read a page and tell you what's on the page in a summary, which is very cool. And as they're adopting more of the LLM model, they're bringing more of that value to Confluence. We've done testing to make sure that AI cannot read the encrypted payload. Right. And so I've taken a page with a lot of content that's encrypted, I've decrypted it, and then run that model, and it still cannot read it. And so we've been able to kind of confirm through that validation that this is sensitive information to the level that even Confluence cannot access it and cannot view it, cannot summarize it in an AI summary.
Yeah, the last thing you want is an LLM, spitting out your API key or something because it got confused. I mean, it's an interesting use case, and it's not one that we've heard unique to Confluence. Actually, we've had a few people mention, Google now has their Duet product, which is going to, probably look at your Google Docs slide sheets, and people have said, okay, great, but if I'm putting, PII in there, I don't want that social security number getting committed to the model and then, potentially be pop back up sometimes. So this ability to de-scope again some of our data from training models, which ultimately are going to help us with productivity, but have the ability to filter on what it has access to rather than filter what it spits back out later. You can move up the pipeline is probably the safer way to go about that.
Exactly.
I did not know they had that. That'll help me be a little bit more productive. My own Confluence workspace can use some updating, some expansion. So we may rely on the LLM to help us a little bit with that.
Yeah,
one of the things this makes me think of, and we're going to do another kind of shameless plug for something else that's coming down the pike from the Virtru product and engineering team. This concept that you mentioned earlier about kind of narrowing the scope of access. We have a whole Confluence space. If you're in the space, you can read all the articles, but we want to be able to de-scope, an API key and have it just available to 3 people, for example. Yeah. Sounds like a similar story to another integration that your team is working on. Can you guess where I'm going here, Daniel?
Are you driving towards something?
I am driving towards something. If you can't figure it out, you may want to Google it. Yes, Google. We're here all week, folks. This is great.
That's right. Good deal.
Hash It Out is now just a series of terrible puns that we're going to work on. But no, getting back to the thread, Google Drive. We hear the same thing. If we have things, either in Drive that we want to make sure that some people can't see, or Google's only giving me sort of 2 ends of the spectrum when it comes to how I'm able to restrict or allow sharing. Do you want to touch a little bit on secure share for Drive and that sort of philosophy we've taken there as well?
Yeah, absolutely. So in Google's ecosystem, it's very much an all or nothing with Drive sharing. You can lock down your Drive and you can say, hey, we don't want this to be external. This is internal documentation. So we're going to not allow external sharing. Or you turn it on and you allow external sharing. And anything in between that is actually quite complex and difficult to create, let alone maintain. And so what we've done with Secure Share is we've built a Google Drive add-on, which works anywhere you have Google Drive. And you can add that to your instance of Google Drive. And you select any number of files. And then our Drive plugin will take those file IDs and open up in a new window in Secure Share and encrypt those before it even before that doesn't download them or anything. It will just take those file IDs, client side encrypt them for you so that you can then share those files. And so you can keep your Google Drive locked down to external sharing and collaboration if you want to have that protection. But then on a limited basis with this Drive add-on, you're able to then take those files, encrypt them on the client side. We convert docs, sheets, and slides into the Microsoft format equivalents because those don't live outside of Google Drive and the Google ecosystem. And then you're able to share those with policy, with protection. You can pre-configure watermarking and expiration and all these pieces that Secure Share offers natively. You can now get that benefit for any of your Drive files to be shared.
Really cool. Love the idea of using, my credential rather than some sort of external credential to retrieve the file and then share it in a controlled way. It's kind of an elegant solution to the 2 options that Google offers is, well, it's a stick on the very locked down version, but because it's just me pulling the file to share, I can go, kind of go through that, but only in this controlled way. It's something we hear a lot about with Google Drive is we want to let people share if it's protected, if it's encrypted. But historically, we really haven't had that capability. So this is kind of a really cool way of achieving that. I'm very excited to get my hands on it. So more to come on that for our audience. We'll probably have another one of these sessions to talk about that. Well, Daniel, thank you for joining me and participating in the terrific pun off. Hopefully we didn't scare away too many listeners. They'll want to come back for the next one. But if you did tune in today, thanks for joining us. Hope it was helpful, and we'll see you for the next edition whenever we get around to it. Probably not until the new year. Daniel, thanks again.
All right. Take care. Thank you.